Good evening and welcome to Fleetway's Roundup with your boy Darius. As always, glad to be here again for another Tuesday. Ready to bring in some more news for you guys. And again, as I've said it multiple times, and you guys probably always are like, man, we always be hearing you got some news. Well, I got plenty of news for today. So we're going to definitely be getting that started. And I'm excited to be getting into that for you guys. So let's go and start off here. Our first little set of news, we're going to start off in our sports section as always. And we're going to kind of start talking about some NBA as today was the free agency. So similar to you, if you guys remember when we talked about when NFL had their whole free agency going on, now we got NBA going into their free agency. And well, one of the big names that a lot of people kind of have their eyes focusing on here is none other than LeBron James. Yep, LeBron James. This has been kind of a little bit of a story going on where do I even start? I mean, ever since the Lakers created that new deal with Austin Reeves, a lot of people felt like this could maybe be leading to something because some people feel like if the case was that LeBron was a priority for the Lakers, that they would have focused on trying to get his deal done first before going for Austin Reeves. And instead, they chose Reeves, and now it's been silent. We started to hear more and more of these rumors on some of the teams that may be interested, which we'll be getting into in a sec here, guys. But a lot of rumors going around. Then it started turning out like we started hearing from reporters that the Lakers have been trying to get into contact with LeBron because they were very much interested in trying to bring him back, but they couldn't get in touch with him. Well, then finally, the news broke earlier today by Shams Charania, where he reported that LeBron James will continue his NBA career for the 2026-2027 season and has informed the Lakers that the franchise can move on without him because he will play elsewhere. For what it sounds like, of course, this wasn't like LeBron told them like face to face or anything. It sounds like his agent was the one who relayed the news. So with this news, this means that now LeBron James heads into free agency now, and he becomes definitely one of the top free agents that is available and out there. Sham Charania, he's also reported too, after 8 seasons with the Lakers, including leading the franchise to the 2020 NBA championship, James departs and enters free agency, set to join a new team. Lakers president Rob Pelinka and Rich Paul spoke a short time ago about the four-time champion's plans. Sources said James chose to inform the Lakers well before start of free agency tonight out of courtesy and appreciation for their run together and to allow LA to conduct its offseason business. Which, I mean, it's been a run. Hey, he brought the Lakers he brought them a championship, and that's something I think a lot of people can't deny. Him going there. I see you watching from Houston, Texas. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But yeah, he did bring LA a championship, and so he definitely helped in that sense. And when it comes to this whole saga ending, I mean, you also have to kind of consider that this was a team that this was like the second longest team he's played for because he played for the Cavaliers for about 7 years, if I'm correct. Then I want to say he played with them 7 years, and then he went to the Miami Heat for 4 years. Then he went back to Cleveland for an additional, I want to say, 4 years. Then he went over to Los Angeles, and he's been with them for eight seasons, essentially but 8 seasons pretty much. So about 8 years. So that's his longest consistent team. So he's been there for quite some time, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Lakers look without him on the team. And now, of course, kind of comes into the big conversation of where he's going to end up because there's a lot of teams, and I think any team I think as a lot of reporters say, and even I can agree with that, is that whoever is a team that feels they are able to compete for the playoffs or the championship, we're going to be like, hey, we want you, man. Like because listen, the dude may be in his 40s, but he has proven, I think one thing no one can really deny is that he was still playing really good. Last year in the technically this year in the playoffs, when the Lakers were there, they had no Luka, they had no Austin Reeves. They were both injured, and there was really only one player on that team that was carrying them to end up beating the Rockets and move forward into the next round, and that was LeBron. So he still got it even in his age, and has proven that he can help carry a team, just can't carry the team all the way. So he needs that supporting cast to be there. So of course, we're just going to briefly talk about like what teams I feel are going to be possible landing spots. The reason that this is getting talked about is not only because this is a big player to be heading into free agency, but because there's been a lot of talks that where I think that one of the biggest landing destinations for LeBron is my Golden State Warriors. Even as you can see, as soon as I pull up the Warriors, you see the first thing is LeBron leaves Lakers, rumors on future amid Warriors. And I do think that's one of his top landing spots for a few reasons. One, because the Warriors have been making some moves that reporters would suggest if they make that move, that's kind of a hint towards that they are interested in that. A lot of reporters are saying that they've heard from their sources that the Warriors do want to try to get LeBron there to do some final swan song. And there's a lot that connects it. LeBron has talked highly of Stephen Curry. They have that rivalry, but also that deep respect for each other. And LeBron has talked about, even asked before, if there was any player that he could possibly play with on the same team. He said Steph would be one of those players that he'd love to be on the same team with. And there's just a lot that goes into it. And as I've said before with the NFL and even in NBA, you can't defeat a storyline. And what bigger storyline than LeBron James teaming up with a man that was essentially his arch enemy in a lot of playoff slash NBA final runs where these two teams have met up against each other, and two rivals now turning into teammates. So that's a big storyline right there. And then there's also the chemistry, because LeBron and Steph, they did play on a team together, and that was for the USA. They played on Team USA for the Olympics under Steve Kerr, the current head coach of the Warriors, who was the head coach for the Team USA for the Olympics. So there is that kind of connection between both LeBron, Steph, and Kerr as far as this whole coaching staff and the players. So there's that connection there. So from LeBron liking Steph Curry and even saying he would love to play on the same team as him, the connection between him, Steph, and Steve Kerr, as well as a little bit of Draymond Green and him both sharing the same agent. There's a lot of connections why there's a reason the Warriors are when people say, where is LeBron going to go? The Warriors are the top. Of course, I know, as I just said, that's my team. I love the Warriors. And you're like, oh, well, maybe you're just saying top because that's your favorite team. Well, no, that's not really it, because while I acknowledge LeBron is a good player, of course, there's a part of me that's like, do I really want LeBron's personality and all the attention he brings to follow the Warriors? Not really, but if it gets us a championship, I mean, I think we could maybe try to see how that all turns out. But that's where I think the top destination is. But hey, if any team is open, we already know LeBron has reports and sources are saying that LeBron is in no hurry to pick a team, and that he wants his agent to look up essentially every team available and bring it back to him to see which team he goes to. He's apparently stated that he's not really in it for the money, and that he's more so looking for a team that's competitive, and he's looking for a team that brings him happiness to join. So that's also kind of adds with the Warriors, because a lot of people feel that that's his best place to be a top destination happiness wise. A second team I could easily see being a high landing destination for him is he goes back home. Is that LeBron, as you see, Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron's face right there for potential landing spots. And that would be my next team, is Cleveland. He goes back home for a third time in his career, going back to Cleveland and trying to maybe bring them one more championship as his swan song. We know he's from Ohio. That's his hometown. Funny enough, he actually is already currently in Ohio hanging out with family. So he might start getting nostalgic, and he might be like, hey, maybe I want to go back to Cleveland. So this is the team that they were in the playoffs, even though they did get beat out pretty badly by the Knicks in the final round of the playoffs. But still, they played pretty good, and I think that would be an interesting lineup there of James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Mobley, etc. Like that's an interesting team. So there is a lot. That's the reason I put him up there at second, is because of the hometown vibes, that he may want to end off his career going back where it all started, his hometown, the team that he has a lot of connection to. Sorry about that. So with that connection, that's why I could see a possibility or a reality that he may want to just go back home to finish off his career. We'll have to see. And I think there are pieces that they could go for an actual finals run. So we'll have to just see how that turns out. There is though the questions of how will the Cavaliers cap space look if they were to try to go and sign a guy like LeBron. But if LeBron's statements are true that he is not very much interested in the money, is more so interested in how what it does for him on a happiness level, and that it's a competitive team, then I think that you could make an argument that Cleveland Cavaliers are currently a competitive team. The other one, this is the one that I put at third because of his, of course, connection playing with them for four seasons, but also because of a lot of moves, and that is none other than the Miami Heat. We know LeBron James, like I said, he was with that team for 4 years. He brought a championship there when it was him, Dwayne Wade, and oh geez, I'm trying to remember the last player that was on that big trio that was there. But if it comes back to me, I'll make sure to address it. But still, he has that connection there in Miami, and he has that connection with Pat Riley, who's still there, and we know he would probably love to get LeBron. And we have just recently talked about the Miami Heat because this is the team that just traded for Giannis. So you can even make that argument that they have that big like star power, like, hey, LeBron, we just got Giannis over here, and we think that you could definitely add to this team to make us a competitor to get back to the playoffs. And I did say it in my previous episode that the Heat trading for Giannis didn't really do much for me. Like, sure, it's a big move, but it's still a move where I'm like, it doesn't move the needle because they only have a few players that are like the big ones, and then their bench is pretty much non-existent. So getting LeBron, that can help add to that team. So there's definitely an argument. And also, too, funny enough, with today being the free agency, while I was driving home, I got the news that the Heat, they did sign Tim Hardaway Jr., so he's now on that team. So they're building towards something there where you could entice LeBron. So that would be, in my opinion, the top 3 landing spots. Two of previous teams that he played for, and then one team that he's talked highly of one of the players and his connections to the head coach and another player on that team as well. So those would be my landing destinations for him, possibly. Any basketball fans that are watching, you share your opinions down below in the chat or comments. What do you think? Where do you believe that LeBron is going to end? Do you think we could hear something as soon as tonight while I'm live, or do you think that this could be a kind of an Aaron Rodgers type of situation where we don't hear anything, it gets dragged out for a while, and we are just kind of sitting there like, okay, is he going to sign somewhere? Where is he going to go? So we'll have to see for sure. But staying in the NBA and speaking on other teams that have been making big moves, some of the other moves that have gone down is the Grizzlies have traded away John Morant to the Portland Trail Blazers for Jerami Grant and Chris Murray, which this is a big move in the sense of the name. We know that there were the rumors of John Morant moving on. I remember seeing a lot of people after there were some rumors suggesting that Ja wouldn't be still kicking it with the Grizzlies, that a lot of people were like, oh, maybe he might go to the Warriors, because right now us Warrior fans were starving for the Warriors to do something, man, because it feels like in these past few off seasons, the Warriors have been dead silent. They don't do anything, and then once finally all is said and done, we always start hearing the reports and rumors that, oh, the Warriors were this close to getting so-and-so, or they were this close to trading for that person. It just didn't go through, and it's like, man, we're tired of hearing they almost got it done. We want to hear that the Warriors got it done. So a lot of Warriors fans I was seeing on social media, they were like, oh, he's a Warrior. Come on, Warriors, go and get Ja Morant. But sadly, it looks like the Trailblazers was the team that was able to get him. And we'll have to see how that turns out. I mean, that's Ja Morant and Damian Lillard, Dame time. So we'll see how that pairing works out there. I don't know for sure if that's the smartest plan. I think similar to the Giannis to Miami, I don't know if this is something that really moves the needle for Portland overall to be a competitive team. They may need to still get some more pieces on the bench, or even some more defensive pieces there to help them out. But it's definitely something that we'll have to keep our eyes on to see where it goes with that. But hey, now you know Ja Morant is now a Portland Trailblazer. Next up is kind of going back to the Warriors. There was kind of connecting it back to what we were just talking about LeBron and why a lot of people feel like the Warriors could be a possible landing spot is because they've been making a lot of moves involving players there. One of the reasons that kind of started to ramp up the rumors of LeBron going to Golden State is a lot of people were saying as well yesterday the Warriors would need to make a decision on what are they going to do with Draymond Green. Is he going to accept his player option or is he going to deny it? And a lot of people, reporters and sources were saying, well, if he declines his player option, this would give the Warriors a lot more cap room, some of that money to work with so that they could maybe make a deal for LeBron, or even because there were rumors that the Warriors would maybe trade for Anthony Davis. That has now kind of died off, where the Wizards are saying, are kind of making it pretty clear they don't have any intentions of trading him away. And even it sounds like the only player that the Warriors could have offered in a trade for Anthony Davis was Jimmy Butler. And even the Warriors are apparently making it known to sources that they have no intentions of moving away from Jimmy Butler. So it looks more and more likely like their only big offseason move that they could reasonably make is signing LeBron James, but we'll have to see. So still, as you probably read ahead of me, Shams Charania kind of reports of how this move kind of pushes the narrative that they're trying to make that cap space room to go in and be like, hey, LeBron, we can offer you this money. Come here. Even then, he reported on this. The opt-out comes days after the Warriors said they expect Green to pick up the $27.7 million option. Instead, Green delivers Golden State time and space to pursue Davis with the Wizards and convince James to join Stephen Curry, Green, and his old Lakers championship teammate in the Bay. Like I said earlier with the disclaimer, that has kind of fallen through. A lot of reporters really were certain that the Warriors were going to trade for AD, but that didn't seem to work out. Kind of just fell apart, and now just like I said, LeBron is kind of the main piece. But we know that that's also being worked out, and even I've seen some reports from sources as well that it looks like they could be gearing up to get Draymond a new multi-year extension, which I hope that's not true, because that would worry me if they go and sign him to some big multi-year contract, because then it's like, okay, well, what cap space do you have now? Because that was kind of the like, okay, drop that, sign him on a cheaper deal so then you could go out there. If you sign him on a big one, then that's like, well, you ain't got no more money to really go out there for LeBron. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But at least we know that. I have to say, though, that's very noble for Draymond Green that he's taking one for the team. He's like, listen, I know that we are trying to be in a win now mode. We know that he's like, hey, I know I'm not getting any younger. Steph isn't getting any younger. We trying to win one more championship before our careers are over, and I'm going to do what I can to try to help the team out. He even said on his podcast, funny enough, earlier this morning. So nice to see that he's taking one for the team to try their best to make a championship winning roster. So we'll see if that pays off. One of our other little NBA news, one of the last ones to kind of round us out here as one of the bigger trades that also happened, is Kawhi Leonard is officially now going to become a Toronto Raptors, and not really become, more so he's returning to the Raptors. He originally played for the Raptors in that season when they won the championship against the Golden State Warriors. I remember that finals, watching the Warriors were looking pretty solid. We went in, played against Toronto, a team that really was doing nothing the years before, and they came in, beat my Warriors, and I was like, Toronto? Whoever talked about Toronto? And yet they went and beat us in the championship, and Kawhi was part of that team, so he's heading back, leaving the Clippers, the team that he was hanging out with for a long time, as Shams Charania. He's kind of the Adam Schefter of the NBA world, and has he reported that they were nearing a deal that would send Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, 1 pick swap, 2 second-rounders over to Toronto, so then they could reunite with their championship winning finals MVP Kawhi Leonard. And it looks like that is official now, as he reported again. Kawhi Leonard to the Raptors has been agreed to. Sources tell ESPN the Clippers will receive unprotected first-round picks in 2031, in 2033, 2030, and 2033 second-round picks, and a 2027 first-round swap. So there we go. Kawhi Leonard is officially back in Toronto, and we'll see if let's see if they could work something out there. It's pretty obvious why this happened. There was a lot of reports from sources that the Clippers had no intentions of doing an extension with Kawhi, and kind of essentially kind of closing the door, like, hey, we don't have any plans on re-signing you, so this is where we're gonna have to end it. And clearly, and even too, Kawhi kind of came out, said that there's really only one team he'd consider going back to, and that was Toronto. And now we see he's officially back. So congrats, Toronto. You guys got a really solid player that I think still has some good years left in him. And we'll see if that turns into a playoff run. I don't know if I would say championship run, but maybe a playoff run. We'll have to see. But now carrying over here, we're going over to the NFL with a few news. First, starting off with Adam Schefter, as he kind of gives us a little bit of an update involving a storyline we've been talking about for a while. You may remember in a few episodes we talked about the rookie quarterback Brendan Sorsby, as he was supposed to be playing in college, but we all know what occurred involving with the gambling. Then it resulted in essentially college telling him, you can never play another college game here. You're done. You can't play. So then he tried to go for the supplemental draft to end up going into the NFL. Then last episode we talked about Sorsby was then denied the supplemental draft from the NFL, where the last we heard from his lawyers basically saying, well, we're not going to have that. We will try to go into court with the NFL because of this, this, and this. And we didn't hear anything. Things had gone quiet, but now we have finally been given an official update where a memo was sent today to all NFL teams saying that the NFLPA and Brendan Sorsby will not be pursuing any further litigation regarding his entry into the NFL, and that instead Sorsby will focus on his preparation for entry into the 2027 NFL Draft. Sorsby will be considered a draft-eligible player for the 2027 NFL Draft. It will not be eligible to sign an NFL player contract until the completion of the 2027 NFL Draft. So that pretty much says that he will. It's pretty self-explanatory. He's gonna have to wait. He won't be able to start playing this season. He's gonna have to wait all the way until next year's draft to then apply. Well, not like apply and go in and see what teams he goes for. And I think that's smart. I've seen a lot of analysts, reporters all kind of agree that it wouldn't be smart for Sorsby to go in trying to sue the NFL, because this could only result in maybe him ruining his reputation with the NFL and essentially making things even worse for him to ever get a chance to play. So this is the smart move. Go and show the NFL, show these teams what you got, show them you have the talent, and also show that you could go on a clean streak, that you no more trouble, no more gambling, getting caught for that, no arrest. If he can do all of that until 2027, which is a while, but if he can do that, then he's gonna be a top. I think you can make an argument he'll be a top 10 pick for the 2027 draft. And considering that this is the draft that's already gonna be quarterback heavy, this would be in his best interest to go in at least trying to build that rapport and showing NFL teams that, hey, I can be responsible and I'm still training to show you I could be that guy. And I think there will be definitely in a market, especially if the NFL analysts are correct that he is supposed to be a top 10 QB talent, then all he's got to do is just prove himself. So in a sense, I'm rooting for him to be able to show that he can be on a clean streak, as well as get back into the NFL and prove his worth. And hopefully he can stay clean. That's all I'm going to say. But also, too, we did get an official statement from Brendan Sorsby where this was thanks to Adam Schefter. It was said, there has been a lot of news about me out there, and I want to share this statement to make sure things are clear. I accept 100% responsibility for my actions. I did not have control of my gambling problem, and it took getting caught for me to realize that. But it was truly the best thing that could have happened to me. Because of this, I have been able to get the help I need and fully focus on my recovery. The news about the supplemental draft changes nothing about my recovery journey. I will continue to take it one day at a time. focusing on making myself better throughout this process and making sure to share what I have learned and will continue to learn with others going forward. I am fully committed to being the best version of myself that I can be while getting ready for the 2027 draft. God makes no mistakes, and I look forward to seeing the goal that is to come from the good that is to come from this. So that's his little statement. And I mean, it feels a little damage control. A little bit. I mean, if this is his true intentions and that this is really how he feels on this situation, then that's good. This is the best case scenario, and this is where he needs to be. This is kind of where a lot of people feel like he should have started off, because people feel like the NFL kind of reason they were so against Sorsby coming to the supplemental draft was they felt like he didn't really learn his lesson. They felt like he wasn't remorseful and that he was just trying to find little paths to get into some sort of playing time after being denied by the NCAA. So now he comes up with a statement like this. It definitely sounds a lot better, and it sounds a lot more favorable. So we'll see if Sorsby ends up being able to find some playing time. Like I said, he's going into a draft next year that's going to be very QB heavy. But if the reports are true that he's supposed to be a top 10 talent, then he should be able to prove himself. So good luck, man. Wishing you the best. Next up, we're going to go into a little bit of some news here. It's kind of that middle ground of, like, not sad, sad, but also hopefully something that could turn triumphant. We're wishing him the best, and that is former Tennessee Titans and Arizona Cardinals running back Chris Johnson revealed that he has been diagnosed with ALS. In an interview with ABC's Good Morning America, Johnson, 39, told GMA co-anchor Michael Strahan, another former NFL player that's of course been on that show for a while now, that he was diagnosed with the disease in 2025. I've seen the clips. I do even have a little bit of the footage there, and yeah, he looks rough. It's a sad state to see him in, because this was a guy that when he was in Tennessee and even the other teams he played for, whether it was the Cardinals, the Jets, I've been seeing so many teams and even players sending out their respect for him, because this was the guy that he was setting records for Tennessee. This was a guy that was seen as one of the fastest running backs of his generation. And seeing the clips, the highlights, this is the guy that always had a smile on his face. This is the dude that was pumped, constantly talking. You were like, oh yeah, you feel that energy from him. And I saw that interview, and it's just like, man, it sucks to see a great player like this get hit with a disease as damaging as ALS. But I'm keeping him in prayer. I'm keeping his family in prayer, and hopefully that they're able to find a way to get him into some sort of recovery process where he's able to be recovered. I don't know if he'll be able to be at 100%, but hopefully, to a point where it just doesn't look the way that it's looking now. And like I said, there is a little bit of of an interview. As you can see, the interview showed him there where he is in his chair. He's got a machine where he has to kind of use his eyes to help speak and stuff. I'm not going to play the full clip, but just a little bit, so then you kind of see this is Chris Johnson here.
But after thorough testing, they finally came down with a diagnosis of ALS. They told us about a medication that might extend life by a few months. Then they told us to get our affairs in order. It was hard hearing that.
They kind of got the little montage and stuff here of his time.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road.
Yeah, like he was a really great running back. And again, I think, listen, you guys all know, where my belief stands. And as far as I'm concerned, I believe in a God. I believe in Jesus that can heal anything. And I don't think that this is the end for him. And I know it sucks to be hearing from the doctors, but doctors are a worldly thing. They're not a spiritual thing. And they can tell you what they see physically and what they see with their eyes, but I believe in a God that works past what we can see physically. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm keeping him in prayer, and I'm trusting and believing that this is not the end of the road for him, and that they will be able to figure out that he will be healed. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So again, my prayers go out to him and his family. And again, you're a legend, Chris Johnson, and I'm hoping to be hearing good news in the coming weeks. So just want to at least report on that there, so you guys could be exactly. Exactly. I repeat that he can be healed, and I think that anything's possible through God and through Christ, and I know that anything is possible through them. So not them, through him. So we will definitely be keeping an eye on that and hoping the best for Chris Johnson. Next up here, to kind of end off our NFL portion of the day, this is kind of an ongoing story that has reached a little bit of again, another kind of sad, it's a sad ending because it's a young player who kind of, his career has been ruined. This is involved with the Detroit Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold, as last week he was arrested based to accounts of multiple charges of armed robbery and kidnapping. And this is kind of a little bit of an update, but I'm going to give you a little of a breakdown. Give me one second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So kind of just giving a little of the history here with Terrion Arnold. He was arrested off the accounts of robbery and kidnapping. This was a story that had been going all the way back in February, where he had gone to police reporting at his, if I'm correct, his Airbnb, that some items were stolen from the location. He went to the police, reported it, but then, as the accounts are saying, that supposedly the same day afterwards, he supposedly set up this huge grand plan to get back at the people who stole his stuff. It involved him working with his girlfriend, multiple people, to kind of lure a trap where the people showed up to meet the two women, where then they got assaulted, kind of got attacked, got kidnapped, were threatened to give the stuff back, were let go, and then they went back to the police about it, reported who those people were. It's a crazy story. Even with the story going as crazy as finding out that the people that were kidnapped by supposedly Terrion Arnold and his group of people weren't even the people who stole his stuff. So it's like, it gets into that very murky territory of, you put the report in, that's where you gotta let the police do their job. You can't be giving out your own sense of vigilante justice here, because it's not even like he waited. It was the same day he put the report in that he goes and turns around and is like, I'm gonna go and take care of this myself. So it's a crazy story, and kind of just to give an update, where a Florida judge found probable cause for Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold to face charges of robbery and kidnapping, but denied prosecutors' motion that he be held without bond Monday. The state asked the judge to require Arnold to wear a GPS tracking device, but his attorneys argued that he would not be able to play football with such a device. That was the most recent update. Then we had another update where they finally, I guess, reached an agreement that he wouldn't wear the GPS tracking device, and even Adam Schefter reported it was looking like he was heading in the right direction, that, hey, he could maybe end up playing for the Lions and making it back to training camp and stuff. Well, sadly, that is not the case. After his bond was set at $1 million and he was released, and things were looking like he was going to be heading back to the NFL, it was then announced the same day that the Lions were releasing him from the team. And that speaks a lot of volumes, as we're going to kind of briefly read some of the stuff here. The Detroit Lions have released Terrion Arnold after he was arrested last week on felony charges of armed robbery and kidnapping, the team announced Monday. Arnold had his bond set at $1 million Monday by Hillsborough County, Florida Judge Christopher Sabella, who added the following conditions. He has not allowed contact with the 6 co-defendants or the witnesses in the case, so essentially the people who have also been arrested and the victims as well. He must surrender his passport within 48 hours, and he was ordered confined to his residence in Tallahassee, Florida, except when he would be playing, training, and traveling with the Lions or making court-related appearances. So they were essentially saying, like, hey, he'll be able to train. Like, the only way he can leave Florida is he has to be training with the Lions. The state asked the judge to require Arnold to wear a GPS tracking device, but as we already said, they argued for it to not be there. Prosecutors had wanted Arnold held without bond. Sabella granted bond to him. Sabella said that although the charges are serious, 4 counts each of kidnapping and armed robbery that could bring a life sentence if Arnold is convicted. Prosecutors are not there yet in showing a strong case for Arnold's guilt. So it's still an ongoing thing that something could change. At the end of the day, the fact that the Lions released him, I think, speaks a lot of volumes, and it speaks a lot of volumes that I believe that Lions, they know more about this story than we or the media knows. Because you don't just release a player, a guy that all the way back in February, you had the head coach Dan Campbell standing by his side saying, I think he's I stand by him. I think he's a really great talent, a great player. And we stand by him, and we've been questioning him, asking him if he has any involvement, and he's told us no. So we're hoping that this gets resolved and that we're able to go back to business. And well, now their tune has clearly changed, and I think it's because the Lions, I think they got them enough details that would maybe suggest that this could end up turning into a serious situation where Arnold does end up going to prison. And it sucks to hear that, because this guy, I mean, we're talking about a dude who was a first-round draft pick. He had a lot of talent. He had a bright future ahead of him to be part of something big with the Lions and maybe be a Super Bowl contending team. And now, because allegedly he decided to take matters into his own hands and be this vigilante, he's now ruined his career. And it sucks to see that. So if anything does update, anything does change, you guys know I'll keep you posted on that. But again, the fact that the Lions released him does not fill me with a lot of confidence that he's going to be getting out of this anytime soon. So sucks to see it, but if this is allegedly and he didn't have anything to do with this whole situation and that he's an innocent man, then I'm rooting for him, and hopefully he can find his way back into the NFL. But at this rate, I don't know. It's a tough situation for sure. But moving on here from the sports side, we're going to be kind of going over into our movie side of things here. And kind of to start off from one bad, like, okay situation to another kind of like, oh, that's disappointing to hear situation. We got some reports on the recently released Supergirl movie from James Gunn's new DCU. And recently the reports, this is involving with the box office, where Supergirl ended up having a lower opening weekend than expected with 37.1 million, now a lower opening than Joker 2, which is like a big, that to me, that's like a big ooh, because Joker 2, that movie was not good. I loved the first Joker movie. That movie was good. Loved it. It makes sense why that movie did so well, making $1 billion in the box office. So there was a lot of hype with that sequel. That sequel failed miserably, in my opinion, to live up to the hype. I don't know what they were thinking. We ain't going to talk about Joker, though. So definitely sets the standard of how bad it is if your box office is lower than that of Joker 2. And it sucks because, and I've been seeing the reviews going around for this movie that a lot of people are like, well, Millie Alcock, the person who is portraying Supergirl in this film, is great. Jason Momoa as Lobo is great. That's all I hear. And that's really the only positives that follow the movie, because then after that, once the reviews keep going, they start saying the movie just isn't hit, it's bland. So I've been hearing, it sucks to see that, because the main consensus seems to be that it's an okay movie. And you might be saying, okay, well, it's okay, so that's not bad. Well, that's not good. Okay is not good, especially for something that's supposed to be helping propel this new cinematic universe for DC. You don't want a movie that's okay. You want a movie that's good to great. So if you have okay, that means that most people are walking out of the movie not really feeling anything. They're walking out of the movie feeling, it was okay. It was all right. It was fine. Like, I could take it or leave it, and you don't want that with your second movie in your big cinematic universe, for people to walk out saying, okay, I could take it, whatever. Is if you want people to walk out like, oh, this is a good movie. I loved it. I loved everything about it, and that's not what we're getting here. And it looks like the box office is already hurting. Thankfully, though, there have been statements. They have Peter Safran, the other head of DC that's working with James Gunn, he has stated that even though the low box office it sucks to see. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but he's basically saying even though it sucks to see that box office, it's not going to deter them from their plan. They know that this is not going to be an easy road, but they plan on being consistent and still trying to move forward. And I'm glad to hear that, because I think that that's the best case you can do, is not let a loss like this completely derail your plans, because we've seen what happens to cinematic universes where if a movie bombs, it just completely destroys how the rest of it just destroys the whole plan. So I'm glad that they're staying true to it. They're like, hey, we're gonna ride this out. We still got more movies coming out that we want to take our chances with, so let's keep this ball rolling. So hopefully this doesn't spell doom and gloom for the DCU, especially since it's just starting. But there's a lot of projects I'm still excited for, like Man of Tomorrow. We've talked about that. It looks good from the behind the scenes set photo. So hopefully it turns into something that is very promising. But just a little update there as far as with the DCU. Next up here, give me 1 sec before I continue talking about this. Going to get a little bit of some refreshments. There we go. Speaking of kind of staying in the live action kind of area of things, we kind of got an update, thankfully, to Netflix here, reporting that that is a wrap on One Piece Season 3. We've talked about this. This is the live action remake. Look at that comment section. Get that. Man, if you don't get that AI generated imagery out of my face, I swear. But we've talked about this. This is the live action remake of a very popular anime. If we already talked about season 2, and we've been talking about this series for a while, and they've now finally posted where they have finished the filming. So this now means that that's all that's left now, is just going to kind of the post-production stuff, the VFX, making sure everything looks good there. And we got a nice little image of the cast with the actors that play each respective character, especially from the recent season, where we got the actor who portrays Luffy, got the actor portraying Usopp, Nami, Zoro, Sanji, Vivi, and then of course also you notice in the little background there we see a little image of Sir Crocodile in the background on a poster, who's going to be kind of the big villain of season 3. So we see him there in the background. Not to do too many spoilers, but he has a huge significance on the Kingdom of Alabasta in this arc, and kind of his not so much control, but essentially he does a good job at playing a front of being like this good guy that, oh, he's such a great guy, he works for the Navy and stuff, but he's got some ulterior motives. So it's a nice little scenery that speaks very big volumes on the story here, of seeing him there in the background and already showing how big his influence is in Alabasta overall. So again, can't wait to see it. I'm loving the outfits we got. They look colorful. They look bright. It's already nice to see how they're already building the sets there for the Kingdom of Alabasta. So if I got any One Piece fans down below, share your opinions, share your excitement. Are you ready for One Piece Season 3 coming up? Next up, speaking of One Piece, we kind of just want to talk a little bit about the remake here, because we did get a little bit of a teaser that was released from Netflix showing off the animation, and just a few little things. And the animation looked great on it. I overall would say it was looking good. I'm like, I can't wait for this remake. This looks exciting. It looks fun. But then my excitement started to drop down, because I heard Luffy speak in it, and then I was like, oh no. Because once I heard Luffy speak, I knew that meant that the iconic voice actress who portrays Luffy in the anime and who has been portraying Luffy in pretty much every project that has been One Piece related, I knew that meant that Mayumi Tanaka was returning. And that it disappointed me and it hurt my heart, because there were reports, and even as I'm going to read from the AI overview here, Mayumi Tanaka, the legendary voice actress for Monkey D. Luffy, requested that Wit Studio, the studio that is working on the remake, and the production team cast a new, younger voice actor for the One Piece anime remake. She wished to focus solely on the original ongoing series. However, the staff ultimately declined her request. Of course, this isn't like official, but the fact that she's voicing again Luffy in this remake tells you that they declined her request. And the reason that this is a disappointing thing to see here is because she's 71 years old, guys. And what we don't want is that you overwork her at her age to the point where, because listen, it's dark, but it's true. We have seen, there has been history of voice actors and voice actresses that voice a character for so long, but they're never given the proper time to rest, that they can end up dying from it because it puts so much of a strain on them. Funny enough, it's happened in the very series in One Piece. The original Japanese voice actor for one of the characters, Frankie, he passed away, and that kind of came from a place of that it was like he was being overworked of voicing the character for as long as he was voicing, and it just finally caught up to him. And so a lot of people are worried for her health because, let me just give you a list of things. She voices Luffy in every video game that they're making, so that's adding stuff that she's got to voice him in. She's voicing Luffy in the original anime that's still ongoing, and that really doesn't have any plans to end anytime soon. So that's a second project that she's actively voicing in. She is reprising her role as Luffy in the Japanese dub for the live action series. So every time one of the live action actors speaks, speaks as Luffy. She's going over that and redoing lines as the Japanese voice. And now you add a fourth project that she is recording for, or has recorded for, in the remake. And depending on how long this remake is going to go for, that's another ongoing project. That's 4 ongoing projects that you have this 71-year-old woman voicing in. And listen, I'm not trying to downplay her. I'm not trying to say that she's not capable of doing it, or that a voice actress or voice actor can't do it. We have Goku's voice actress who voices him in the original anime and has been voicing him for years. She's in her 80s and she's still doing it, screaming at the top of her lungs like she hasn't skipped a beat. But not everybody can do that. And when you clearly have a voice actress that has voiced her opinion and has voiced her stance on the matter that, hey, this is the remake, can y'all maybe go and get a younger person to portray this character so that I can just focus on the other projects? That's her. To me, it's not, I wouldn't say a cry for help, but it's essentially it's her stating like, hey, I know my limit, and that's maybe putting a little too much of my voice here. So it sucks to see that they have essentially ignored her request overall, and that she's once again voicing another project. So that definitely kind of taints this project for me, because man, y'all really couldn't have at least respected her wishes and bring someone in younger to help portray the character. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I'm keeping her in prayer as far as her health goes, and we'll have to see how that occurs. But another little update on things, as we did have recently, I want to say the week before last, last week, Toy Story 5 had released, and now it has been reported in its updated box office that it is projected to become the biggest film in the franchise with around $1.2 billion worldwide. The film has already made $585 million, man. Don't listen to what anybody tells you. Toy Story still finds a way to keep making big bucks for Disney and Pixar with every new movie. Every time we get an announcement for a new sequel, you get people saying, oh man, they should have ended it at 3. They should have ended it at 4. Now we'll probably get, they should have ended it at 5, and they'll probably do a 6. It's like this franchise keeps finding ways to make money, and it's crazy that Toy Story 5 is now the one that's about to make the biggest money. But I've heard a lot of good things about this Toy Story 5, with a lot of people saying it's even better than the 4th one. And I definitely hope to see it soon and be able to maybe give you guys a review on it for sure. But it's still, again, we're seeing that this franchise, as long as it keeps making money like this, Disney ain't gonna ever let it die. They ain't ever gonna let it end because they see the money it makes. So just a little update there for Toy Story 5. Another little animated movie update as well. We got our first trailer, and I'm only just gonna be showing our first poster for Angry Birds 3, the little franchise, the movie adaptation of this video game of the same name. This is their third movie here. I saw the trailer. It didn't really do much for me. It does the try and true trope of, let's take grumpy character from the franchise you loved watching and now give him kids and show how difficult parenthood is. And it's like, man, you had other plots you could have maybe done for an Angry Birds 3 movie, and here we are doing the same trope of, let's make him a parent and show everybody, hi, isn't that funny, guys? His kids don't like him because they're teenagers. They're tweening. They're teening over here, and they don't understand their dad, and their dad doesn't understand them. So there's a disconnect, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's an interesting to see that we're getting this trope again. And the trailer, just overall, it didn't do much for me. And I loved the first Angry Birds movie. I thought it was actually a really solid movie overall, and even a decent video game adaptation. I know the second one is the one a lot of animation fans out there love to praise, but it didn't do that much for me. Like, it had some okay jokes, but overall it was mediocre. So this third one really isn't leaving me with much to desire, and I'm like, I if this movie isn't good, I hope that they are done with this franchise after the third one, because if at this rate all they're doing is just grabbing random plots to keep the franchise going, and it's like, you just end it. It's done now. But we're gonna go and keep moving it on here with more little animated movie news with Illumination, as they did drop a trailer today for their upcoming animated movie featuring Timothy Chalamet and Selena Gomez, as they will be starring in essentially a rom-com, where it will be this rom-com, and I saw in the trailer too, where an astronaut and mechanic who are finding feelings for each other end up getting got in the mix of essentially a group of aliens coming down to Earth. And now that they're down there on Earth, the two have to basically do their best to keep them hidden and keep them safe, while probably, I'm going to take it, the people they work for are like, oh, there were aliens, we need to capture them, we need to study them, we need to dissect them, figure out how they work, how they run. And so they're going to be having to do their best to keep them safe, while also probably balancing their little love relationship. And when I watched the trailer, I was sitting there, and I'm sitting watching it, and I'm like, okay, I see the vision here. This could be cute. I was like, okay, this is a cute little direction to go. This is definitely different for Illumination. They haven't really done a rom-com movie compared to their generic stuff that they go for. So I was like, okay, this looks interesting enough, you know. And then the aliens showed up. They started talking, and then I was like, oh, never mind. Illumination's back at it again with nothing original. They're going with talking alien creatures that are going to be our slapstick comic relief. So I'm like, man, you had us in the first half, and now it feels like you guys are doing what you do best or do worst. So yeah, didn't leave much to be desired, but who knows? Maybe I might be wrong. Maybe there is a really good rom-com story here to show off. We'll have to see, but yeah, like I said, the trailer didn't do much for me. But speaking of Illumination, we kind of got some controversy with them, as recently it was reported that Illumination is getting sued by a screenwriter for alleged copyright infringement for their film Migration. I remember I actually really liked Migration. I thought it was a pretty fun Illumination film that felt drastically different from what they typically do. And sadly, it didn't really do all too well in the box office, and which sucks, because I think it was actually a really good movie and a step in the right direction for them to maybe get, have a solid movie on their hands. But it didn't do well in the box office, and so that kind of left me like, they're gonna go back to what they do worst. But it was basically about a group of ducks who they're like, hey, we want to migrate. The dad is like, I don't want to migrate. I want to stay here where it's safe, where it's comfortable. And then they decide, let's go and migrate and go on a crazy adventure. Well, they're apparently now getting sued because a screenwriter is claiming that you guys copied my idea, like word for word, beat for beat. And the film bears similarities to Kenneth Guevara's screenplay for South for the Winter, which follows a family of birds with a father who reluctantly agrees to migrate. So as I just explained with the ducks, you can see how that sounds word for word. So I don't know how far you can go in a copyright lawsuit, especially in a few, because you got to consider a lot of things. One, this is Illumination / Universal. That's a pretty big company to be going toe to toe with in a court case. So that's already one thing. And then it's going to turn into the case of when you go into a court situation, you're going to have to answer a lot of questions, and those questions are going to definitely turn into like, well, how do you predict or suggest that they really copied your idea? Do you have the proof that you made this idea before they did? And so on and so forth. So we will definitely have to wait and see how this turns out. I don't know. It could be something little. It could be something big. Or it could just be nothing. I don't know for sure. But definitely you still have to bring that up after we were talking about Illumination, that it looks like they got some legal troubles they got to go through. So we'll see how that turns out. Next up here, going back to Netflix. Oh, man. I saw this and I was heartbroken because you guys, I don't have to repeat myself. I don't have to beat a dead horse. You know where my stance is when it comes to generative AI, whether it's art, whether it's voices, etc., etc. Well, we've been slowly but surely kind of getting into this era of studios resurrecting dead actors with with AI and all that kind of stuff. It happened in Alien Romulus, where they brought back one of the actors who portrayed one of the androids in the original movie and brought him back with some like AI face recognition stuff, and even sound like they did an AI filter over someone's voice to kind of bring him back. Of course, it turned into like, oh, well, the wife gave the okay, which that even then kind of is on a weird, that's on a weird tight, like really tight rope of sure, the estate or the family or the wife gave the okay, but it's like, do we really know if that person would have been okay with it just because that their family was okay with it? Because we never know. The family has the person's best interest at heart. Then we saw it happen again where James Earl Jones, he passed away, and then Fortnite used an AI to utilize his voice, so then they could use an AI voice of him to voice Darth Vader for a NPC that would walk around the map. It was something I didn't like, but sadly that was one I couldn't argue against as much, because James Earl Jones, he did sign an agreement with Disney that they would have permission to use his voice for to replicate his voice with generative AI, so then they could keep all of his iconic characters alive, which it's like, man, it sucks to hear that he would sign something like that, but I mean, at the same time, it's his decision. Well, we have our next resurrect, and even there's more. It's becoming more and more frequent, and it just is like, it's like man, it's just a big, you know what I mean? It's just, oh my goodness, it sucks to see this happening. Like, it's such a weird morality type of thing to bring back these actors that are gone, dead and gone. It's like, what are we doing, guys? So give me one sec. So we got our next dead, passed away actor who is now being recreated with AI, and that is Netflix dropping a basically Squid Games competition series of Willy Wonka, and they had in the trailer kind of had a AI, well, not kind of, they did have a AI generated voice of Gene Wilder. If you don't know Gene Wilder, a very iconic actor who was in a lot of famous movies. He was the original Charlie in the original Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory, as you can see here for the images. He also was in Blazing Saddles, a very a very funny parody movie. And dude's a legend. I mean, you recognize his face, you recognize his voice. He was a great actor who really brought life to every character he portrayed. And so it sucks to see that Netflix is now going down this route of using AI generation to bring his voice back for this. And let me see.
The first time in decades, I'm opening my beloved chocolate factory. A whole new generation of real-life golden ticket holders will compete for a life-changing prize. Or say a most unfortunate goodbye.
I don't like. Oh my goodness. And it's like, it's not even like that. It's a one-time thing that happens in the trailer. This is something that consistently happens in the trailer, where you hear his AI, the AI generated voice of him speaking and stuff. And I'm like, oh no. And that has me fearful that he's like going to be the host, like that we're going to be hearing that voice talk pretty frequently throughout the show. And it's just like, ah, man, you couldn't have gotten a sound alike, or, you know what I mean? You couldn't have gotten a sound alike. You couldn't have just maybe not did it. I mean, it's just, let the man rest. Let him stay where he, just let him. It's just, oh my goodness. People, it all stems from one place. It stems from greed. And Netflix saw an opportunity with Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka was like, we're going to make a competition series, but instead of actually, game over. Exactly. Instead of just, it's like, the more and more and more I think about it, it just frustrates me, because it's like, oh my goodness, why? How can you be so greedy? How can you be so corporately evil that to make money, you use something that's supposed to be used as a tool, and find ways to cut corners of bringing someone's dead voice back to life. And it's just like, oh my goodness. Every time it's like everywhere you look, you see how generative AI is affecting our way of life. I mean, people may not know this. Generative AI is having a negative effect on the world. All this heat stuff, and even a lot of water shortages, that's coming from generative AI people. The data centers, because they have to use a lot of water to be able to properly work these data centers for the AI to be actively working. That's why we're seeing all these, and this is going to lead into another topic. That's why it's leading to all these rises in prices for video games and RAMs for computers and stuff, and reaching these all-time highs that you've never seen prices because of this, because they're overworking these data centers. So every time you generate an AI video, you generate an AI voice, you generate a prompt, you generate an AI image, that is working those data centers, and those data centers have to use real life resources of water, trees, and it's killing us. We are actively killing ourselves using generative AI, but sadly, people don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. Not everybody is constantly doing their research on it, and it's just like, it's like, man, we dooming ourselves, people. We dooming ourselves. But I don't want to stay on that topic. Just wanted to bring that to light. So disappointed in Netflix that they would go down this route and do the AI generated voice for Gene Wilder. It just sucks. And we don't even know if they got, I mean, of course they'll probably try to release a statement like, oh, well, we got the okay from the Gene Wilder estate in their family. And I'm like, that doesn't change anything for me. Cause like I said before, I'm not trying to be mean, but you can't always just trust the word of mouth from a family, because a family could go in and be like, well, we need some money, so yeah, you can use an AI voice of our late dead husband, father, so then we could get a cut of that, you know. So it's always it's a tough situation to talk about, but not gonna stay on it long. These last few topics of the animation portion are gonna kind of be in a little bit of the negative, kind of sad news, but not negative. There's some positive. There's some, the last ones is gonna be a little of the negative, but overall, still, it's going to be good. One of the other things, just to kind of wrap up the animation portion here, we did get a recent report that the British government is expected to intervene in Paramount's proposed $110 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery over concerns about preserving media diversity in the UK. We've talked about this storyline for a while involving Paramount going out buying Warner Brothers. We gave you kind of a summarized breakdown history of where we started and where we're heading, but at least we know that there are people trying to fight against it and be like, no, we can't allow this, because if this happens, this could change a lot of how we see media and movies. And so I'm hoping that the UK could do something, because like I said, I shared enough before on my opinion on it and how I see the negative to something like this moving forward. So come on, UK. Go and stop this from happening, please. But our last little news here is kind of the more of the sadder news, and this involves with the news we talked about in last week's episode. There was an ongoing festival going on called the Annecy Film Festival. This was kind of an animated film festival there where a lot of where a lot of animated news was going to get announced. We kind of talked about some of the animated news there, and well, we had the very disappointing news, as I'm going to kind of break it down. This is from an animation studio where it was reported the heartbreaking news of Luis Del La Rosa's passing has affected so many of us in the animation and art community. Luis contributed his immense talent and creativity to our studio over the years, and he left a lasting impression on the many of us who had the privilege of knowing and working alongside him. At our artist meetup in Annecy, we gathered to honor Luis's memory with a moment of silence, and by lighting a candle, it was a simple but meaningful opportunity to reflect on his life, his artistry, and the impact he had on those around him. We want to extend our deepest condolences to Luis's family, friends, and all who knew and worked with him. We will remember him with gratitude, respect, and affection. And yeah, so at that Annecy Film Festival, a serious accident occurred. This guy was 34. And it sucks to see a life get taken so early, where apparently a lot of people even were saying, man, it sucked to see this happen, because people were like, man, I just saw him at the film festival and talked to him and stuff, and now you're telling me he's gone. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that sucks. I wonder how he passed. And then I found out how he passed, and then every part of me was like, okay, I kind of wish I didn't find out. And well, at the Annecy Film Festival, as you can see from the headline from TMZ, he was sadly hit by a train at the film festival. Apparently, from what I had seen from reports, he had oh, thank you. I see the message. Happy birthday. Oh, thank you. Yes. Birthday is going to be happening tomorrow. July 1st was when I was born. I don't want to get too distracted, but yes, my birthday is coming up soon, and exciting. I'm turning 24, guys. Taking big leaps, taking big steps, and each and every way I'm thanking God and thanking Jesus for putting me on this earth, and I think I got big things planned. So I'm excited to see where this journey is going to take me, and I'm thankful for the people that God has surrounded me with, as well as this opportunity He has blessed me with here. And of course, I know it's crazy to go from talking about birthday news to then going back to this, but I'm not going to go into full detail, because it already, I think that you already feel the effect of what I'm discussing here. And all I can say at the end of the day, similar to when we were talking about Chris Johnson, my heart, my condolences, and my prayers go out to the family of Luis, as I know this is something you never want to hear. You don't want to ever hear that you lose a family member to something like this, and to have their life taken from you so unexpectedly. But I know, all I can say is that I know that He's up there with our Heavenly Father. And again, my heart and condolences go out to the family for him. So just want to at least kind of put that news out there about that. Someone who had a great, kind of a great aspect in the animation community. I do want to kind of finish off here with our last little topics. I know the show is kind of going a little bit longer, but it's because we just had a lot to discuss that had happened in these past couple days. So we're just going to kind of finish out the show with the video game section. And kind of just to start things off here, we had recently EVO, which is kind of this big gaming event, well, fighting game event, where a lot of people gather together and playing these tournament fighting games. EVO has been around for a while. It's held a lot of iconic moments in the fighting game community, and also has been used as a stepping stone to kind of show off and reveal upcoming games and DLCs for current active fighting games. And well, during there, they had a trailer for one of the upcoming characters, but then after that trailer, they ended it off with a little teaser for another upcoming character in that DLC. And I'm gonna play the clip. I'm going to play the clip here because you may notice that this clip looks a little familiar, but I'm going to let the clip play there, and then I'll break it down why it looks so familiar.
No, sugar.
So as you saw, that's one of the characters in the fighting game, Leroy, iconic black fighting game character. You saw his dog was being held hostage by one of the other characters who's been in previous Tekken games, Roger Jr., and he had the dog in a in a chokehold. And we see Leroy come up, go and punch Roger. He looks shocked, and then they get ready to fight. Now, you might have saw that and be like, wait, that does kind of look familiar. What's the case of that? Well, the case is that they recreated the very famous clip of the guy who, you even see same backwards cap, same plaid shirt, jeans, everything. And where it's the famous clip of the guy who runs out to where a kangaroo is holding his dog hostage. He runs up over to the kangaroo, punches the kangaroo. The kangaroo's dazed, and he's able to escape. And I'm even going to play the comparison here.
This particular
that poor
kangaroo.
dog.
Look at him.
This is the famous clip where they square up, punches him, and you see same outfit and everything.
No, sugar.
Has been rescued from this.
So you see, word for word, beat for beat, it's the exact same. Exact same reference. And when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, that is kind of clever. Clever from Tekken, the reference something like that with those two characters, and that's a way to definitely hype up upcoming characters for sure. So if you recognized it from the first clip before seeing the comparison, definitely let me know. But we're going to kind of move into the final group of topics here, kind of going back into discussion. And that is, there's been a lot of bad video game news. Man, being someone who is a video game fan myself, these news have just been draining to listen to, and seeing how much this industry that I love or have enjoyed turn into something that's just like, oh man, it's going downhill. Well, we talked about GTA 6 and the rumor price. Well, we do have the official price, which we will be getting into in a second here. But one of the things is we talked about the Steam machine, the very infamously priced $1,000 Steam machine, where Valve had kind of made a statement where they said it would love to make the Steam machine more affordable, but don't expect it anytime soon due to high memory costs. And again, this loops back to what I've been saying about the generative AI. This does not take away or absolve that. Listen, y'all are still some CEOs, and you're going to try your best to make whatever money you can. So don't think for a second that when you say, oh, well, we wish we could make it more affordable. I know your tricks. I know that y'all want to make as much money as you can, but there is truth to this. because of all these data centers and the AI usage and stuff, it's making these RAMs and it's making the RAMs and the memories that got to get created more expensive. And so for these people to make new consoles and games to run on those hardwares, they got to make more money because of the time and resources that go into it. And so they even say that's the reason they're making the Steam machine so expensive, because the high memory costs that went into making this thing, they got to make their money somehow, and that's the only way they can, by making this thing $1,000, even though you could play these games on your computer for a lot cheaper. But yeah, so definitely not good. So that's already one bad thing. So, and you're probably already like, wait, that's one bad thing. Oh yeah, we got more bad news. Just earlier today, we got a really bad update on an upcoming video game that was supposed to be getting made by Bethesda and Arcane under Microsoft, where we were supposed to be getting a Blade standalone video game. It had a lot of hype going for it. People were like, oh, Blade, yeah, we love Blade. Let's get us a Blade video game. But it had been kind of quiet. We had heard no updates about it. Well, our recent update is not a good one. It's not a good one, where now it's being reported that Xbox is weighing up canceling its Marvel's Blade game and shuttering Arcane, basically shutting down the studio working on it. It's also been reported that Microsoft could shut down at least 5 studios as part of a big Xbox layoff starting next week. Not good. Not good at all. Where pretty much what we're getting is that apparently in the coming weeks is that there's been a lot of reports and rumors that a huge layoff could be getting ready to happen, meaning a lot of people are going to be out of their jobs, a lot of studios are going to get shut down, and possibly even games getting canceled. And sadly, Blade is looking like it could be one of those games. And it's just like, man, we're reaching a point where it's just like, dude, from prices of video games getting more and more expensive, to these consoles getting more expensive, to now these more greedy tactics and how these companies handle their games, which, like I said, we're going to get into that with a certain GTA 6 game. And we're seeing cancellations. It's just like, man, every new news we've been hearing in these past few days has been turning something that was seen as a hobby by most into something that's now turning into more of just a headache, you know? So getting into that last one, GTA 6, we talked about it last week of the rumored prices of what the game could possibly cost, but we got our official prices where GTA 6 will be coming in around $80 for the standard edition, which I'm like, yep, so $80 for the standard edition and $100 for the ultimate edition. And I was like, you gotta be.
Oh my God!
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. There it is. It's not as bad as the rumored prices, but that is still ridiculous. That's still ridiculous. And here goes the crazy part. They're charging for they're giving out the physical editions to be sold in store, but guess what? It doesn't come with no physical disc. It comes with a piece of paper that you'll have to type into your console to then get the game digitally. And it's like, man, that's also speaking the death of physical media, because we're starting to see less and less studios make physical editions of games and everything's going digital. But then here comes the worst part, is that a lot of these game studios are saying, well, when you buy this game digitally, we just want you to also know that you're not technically owning it. Oh, that $100 you spent on that digital game? You don't own it. You only bought a license for it. So meaning that we can revoke it, we can take it back, and it will be our decision. Because you bought a license. In the agreement, it states that is a license you are buying. So meaning you don't own nothing no more. Unless you buy a physical disc version of a game, you no longer own video games no more, because they could take it away from you as soon as they want. They can even take away movies, because that's actually been something that's been going on with PlayStation, where they have been removing where they've been removing hundreds of people's movies from their libraries that they bought digitally because the contracts expired. I'm just going to say it. Support physical media. If this isn't the biggest sign that physical media needs to be supported and you need to be trying your best to get things physically, then I don't know what's going to convince you, because this is like, whoa. But back to GTA 6. To add more insult to injury here with the controversy involving GTA 6, that Ultimate Edition, they revealed that they are locking additional content in their single-player game behind the Ultimate Edition. They're saying that specific stores to buy clothes, specific stores to detail your car, will be locked behind the Ultimate Edition. So if you only buy the standard edition, you play the game, and you maybe want to go to this one store to buy some clothes, it's going to tell you, you can't enter the store because you need to pay additional $20 to get in here. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are we doing? This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I even made a post about this too, where I said, where it was reported people will accept it. It's GTA. Industry analysts have told video game community that Grand Theft Auto 6 having no disc version won't make much difference to its sales. I made a post saying the arrogance makes me want to see this flop, and I was not expecting my post to blow up as big as it did. It hit 15K likes. I got viewed by 164K people. And I definitely had a lot of defenders for the game in the comment section try to come after me. I kept my cool. Listen, I'm not going to let people try their best to do whatever they can to take me down and stuff. But yeah, it's this has turned into a huge controversy of streamers defending the decision, saying, "Oh, you're just broke." No, like, I'm not even joking. I wish I was, but I'm not. We have all these streamers, people who get their money from these big companies and stuff, and they're like, well, that just sounds like a broke problem. That doesn't sound like a me problem. That sounds like a broke you problem. Maybe get more richer. It's like what? Listen, I think a lot of people agree. If you want to buy the game and you want to support GTA 6, fine, but at least admit or acknowledge that the practices that Rockstar is doing is some shady stuff. Because the fact that you are locking additional main story content behind a deluxe edition, the fact that you are not giving a physical disc to people and expect people to pay money for a piece of paper, that means that they're buying something they don't own. The fact you were trying to charge $80 for a game that has also been reported will only be running at 30 frames per second. It's like, what are we doing, man? It's insane. It's crazy. The practices are just so non-consumer friendly, and it's just like, man, if you don't hold these people accountable, they're not going to change. They're just going to keep getting more and more greedy. And it's just like, oh, man, it sucks to see that. But they kind of just ended off here on the whole Rockstar saga. We got even one of the bigger news, where it was reported Rockstar Games employees are attempting to unionize ahead of GTA 6's release. Multiple devs were fired back in October, and strikes could occur if Rockstar does not recognize the union. So I guess, it is like, man, we are starting to find out some serious dark stuff about Rockstar, that they are getting into some shady stuff. They're starting to do some shady things behind the scene, and we're seeing so many people defend them. And the only reason people are defending them is because Rockstar makes GTA and has made Bully and has made the Red Dead Redemption series. If this was EA or Ubisoft, you would see people chastising them, talking about, oh my goodness, how could you do this? This is terrible. But because it's Rockstar, people are putting this golden standard and are like, oh, that's so funny. That's so funny, Rockstar, that you're charging me $80 to $100 for a non-physical media and locking content behind a paywall. That's so funny, guys. But if the other people did it, which they have, trust me, you wouldn't hear the end of it. So it's like, I ask for people, whether you're watching my show and you're a follower of my channel, or you're someone that is just tuning in for the first time, and you're someone who is supporting Rockstar or even is excited for GTA 6, I am not telling you I'm not saying to not be excited for GTA 6. If you want to be excited for GTA 6, be excited for GTA 6. I'm not trying to stop you from that. It's your money. Do what you want to do with it. I'm just saying, though, to look at the bigger picture here. I want you to sit back, look at the big picture, read everything that is coming out about this game, and seriously ask yourself, is this smart, good, consumer-friendly decisions? And when you read it, you're going to be like, no. And the craziest part about all this, to end off my show, is that people are pre-ordering this game, setting record sales, even buying the game for more on eBay from scalpers, which are all just pre-orders, mind you. And we ain't seen a single dang footage of gameplay for this. That's what I'm just going to end y'all off with here before we close the show. I know we've gone way over the limit, but it was a lot of news, and there was some I just had to really go into detail about, but I'm just leaving y'all with that. We haven't seen a single trailer or footage of gameplay. The last thing we got was a cinematic trailer of sorts for this game. So we don't even know how this game is going to look when it comes out. We don't know how it's going to run. We don't know if this is going to be a Cyberpunk 2077 situation. This game could come out a glitchy mess, and you just wasted $100 to $80 on a game that ain't even really ready. So that's what I'm just going to leave you guys off with. I know we went a little bit over the mark here, but again, as always, I just want to say I am so grateful for everybody that does tune in. I know that this does be getting long. I know that we talk a lot about different topics. I know we talk about topics that maybe don't fit in your circle of things that you like to pay attention to, but I'm happy for the people that do tune in. I'm even happy for the people that maybe don't catch the lives and tune in to catch the recordings. I appreciate the support. I love you all. Again, happy birthday to me. 24 tomorrow, guys. I'm so excited, but again, I love you guys. Continue to tune in every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is your boy Darius. This is Fl33tway's Roundup, and I'll see